So, Path of Titans has released a new TLC. Now, I know I'm late. However, I did plan on making this video earlier, but genuinely just forgot to do it. But you know what? Better late than never. So, I have experienced this in game already, and I will go in full balls saying that this TLC, like most, has changed basically nothing. However, the reason I'm reacting to this is for a completely different reason. I saw up to the 30-minute mode, or 30-minute mark, that Ceratosaurus has received Juke. Let's talk about it.
The Ceratosaurus TLC has arrived. Ceratosaurus now boasts many brand new abilities and some refreshed existing ones. With this TLC, we have pushed our osteoderm-covered theropod to really...
Brother, my Alio man.
Refreshed existing ones. With this...
So, you have the Cerato turning right here. First of all, the Alio's not in a turn itself, which it should have done, like... It should have been turning in right here, because you can close off to get body hits, or body shots instead at this angle if you use your walk turn instead of sprint. But that's a nitpick for another story.
With this TLC, we have...
But why do you run off? Like, yeah, you're a hit and run playable against bigger creatures. Against smaller creatures, you're on their ass.
Pushed our osteoderm-covered theropod to really lean into its role as a mid-sized brawler. In that, we've given Ceratosaurus brand...
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it when we get to the abilities.
New ways to be antagonistic, forcing players to get out of its way or face the consequences. Starting with two new...
I hate that stomp attacks and charge attacks can be cancelled by knockback, and I'm fairly confident I'm not the only one who's in that same ballpark. It feels rough predicting the other player's movement, absolutely catching them off guard, and then you getting punished for reading their movement correctly and punishing them. Like, it's rough.
New hide abilities, regeneration and solid frame. These new abilities help Ceratosaurus...
Cool, another healer.
...to survivability in combat. Regeneration gives Ceratosaurus bonus regeneration from healing sources, such as Metriacanthosaurus.
That would explain why I saw a Metri in Cerato group.
...Saurus's healing call, while solid frame simply gives it higher base health. The new
200... No. Okay, hold on. Stop. We need to fucking talk about stats. Let me just make sure everything's okay. Yeah, okay. Where is it, Cerato? Cerato already has 700 health on its base. And you might say, oh, but the combat weight affects things differently. And Ceratosaurus having low combat weight takes more health. Bro has base armor, and also health is the most important value in the game, and combat weight is basically pointless. So yeah, avoiding that maybe hot take of combat weight being basically pointless, Ceratosaurus now has almost as much, has more health than a Rex, because it goes from 700 base health to 900 base health at the cost of literally nothing. This is what I hate about newer abilities. They're not punishing you. Like, there's no punishment. It's just straight upgrade. I remember back in the older days of Path of Titans, like, there were certain builds that got popular because of another build's downsides. Or people would just run the base game creature because the downsides of the others while their buffs would provide, you know, good buffs, their downsides were meaningful, and thus sometimes it made logical sense not to choose an ability there. Now it's all just like, fuck it, give most damage, most armor, even though movement is the most important value. But hey, let's not talk about that right now. Ceratosaurus, this is stupid. Increase, like, it even has a subspecies that increases its armor, which is already increased. God. Like, I don't critique the developers for having bad balance for nothing. Like, they couldn't even implement a feature correctly when Paki did 300% instead of 200% extra damage on that one ability. Like, there's balancing being hard, and then there's just being a moron.
The new sensibility called Bulwark also lets Ceratosaurus heal 50% faster at the cost of doing less damage.
Okay, unless those two take up the same spot with Hyde, which at that case, okay, this point becomes invalidated. Also, this Alio gameplay is fucking killing me, especially because Alio actually fares pretty well against Cerato. If you can equip both the max, like, higher health and this, oh my god.
Something that can be especially potent in drawn-out fights. Ceratosaurus can also now taunt enemies.
Ceratosaurus shouldn't be drawing out fights, it should be finishing them quick. It's supposed to be like Ceratosaurus in the Isle, a corpse bully, because you gave it abilities like that, unless you removed those abilities recently, in which case, fine. But you designed it to be like a mid-tier that can punch up. And now you're saying drawn out fights like it's an Alioramus or something. Ceratosaurus is bulk and high damage. It should not be drawn. It's slow, it has bad stamina regeneration, and doesn't have much stamina to begin with, and has many attacks that can drain its stamina. It should not be the one drawing out the fight. Also, what is this? God. Reduce your incoming damage by 25%, and so you're now tankier than a Rex in the literal sense, and you now slow your enemies while also taking less damage than yourself. So now you're also tankier in the hypothetical sense. God damn.
Slowing them down when nearby until interrupted by an attack. And while taunt is active, Ceratosaurus will also take reduced incoming damage. Ceratosaurus' charged bite attack now inflicts the new bone break effect that we've discussed in previous dev blogs, letting it control how fast its opponents can move in a fight by fracturing their bones.
Cool. I personally think the higher damage was more useful for Cerato, because the way Cerato works, even now, it can't really make much use of its bone break. Like, yeah, it's good in a group, but also you could have just gotten a Daspletosaurus at that point. Or a Rex, or any other thing. You could have gotten a Paki at that point. I know mixed groups exist. I know mixed dieting's a thing. I know that. Why get a Cerato when you could have a Paki?
Ceratosaurus players wanting a riskier playstyle can also opt to use the robust Jaws hide ability.
This is invalidated. Okay. Here, let's do some math. Bring up the old calculator. So, our Ceratosaurus, at 700 health, its base, will lose 12.5%. Which would leave it with 612% health which still isn't that bad, especially since you remember that this motherfucker has armor. But now, let's do something funny. Let's turn our base health into 900, and then minus that by 12.5, right? Yeah, 12.5%. Wow, look at that. We still get an increase in health from our base health. Thank you, Alderon game developers. Thank you so much for considering balance for 2 seconds. God, it's so stupid.
Boosting its overall damage by 25%. Ceratosaurus can combine this with the newly updated shove ability to really put the pressure on its opponents and move them around with knock.
Okay, shove's still kind of useless. Like, yeah, you can cancel this.
Combine this with the
But
newly
also, let's
updated...
put this in a different perspective. Put a Rex here. put a Styracosaurus here. Actually, the better Ceratopsian, put that here. And see how this fight goes. Like, shove's still useless.
Shove
or at least very situational.
Ability to really put the pressure on its opponents and move them around with knockbacks. And its new movement...
Look at that! Look at that! They show how useless of an ability shove is. Okay, so fuck if I know how this situation happened with an Alberta. Like, these Alberta Ceratops can still punish you so much in this situation by either headbutting you and holding its ground, or headbutting you and going into a charge on offense. Like, cool, the Cerato's still fucked.
And its new movement abilities, Swerve and Juke, both let Ceratosaurus quickly turn 180 degrees.
Can we stop giving the slower creatures Juke? Because it doesn't work. It only somewhat works on Pycno, almost called Carnal there, which it is. It only slightly works on Pycno because it's a fast creature. And also it only works on Tyrannotitan because people found exploits with it, where you can use a bite, and using legacy code, you can drag the hitbox with Juke. And the only reason that works, though, is because Tyrannotitan is both tanky and hits like a motherfucker. Ceratosaurus is a bitch. Ceratosaurus can make no use of this, and I know that for a fact because I literally killed a Ceratosaurus using Juke with like maybe 50% health still remaining on my side when I killed it. Like, it's so... Just give Juke to fucking Struthi or Canto even. Because the way you advertised it in the Pycno trailer was a movement tool. And you're still advertising it as that, even though you contradicted yourself in Tyrannotitan. But why not give the movement tool to the movement creatures? It's like, this ability would make it even more strong, but it would work wonders on something like Concavinator or Styracosaurus. But on a Ceratosaurus, it just doesn't work.
A perfect movement skill to prevent enemies from getting behind it.
You know what you could have done there? Instead of using this cool ability that turns you around and wastes your stamina while exposing your flank, you could have just stopped, hit X and S to back up a little bit. Like, Juke's so pointless on Cerato.
Finally, we've introduced a new niche for Ceratosaurus, corpse stealing. Using the new carcass tracker senses, Ceratosaurus is now able to locate any nearby player corpses within a 100-meter radius. This
Okay, that is kind of cool.
This ability will make a small icon appear on the screen that will steadily fill up as the Ceratosaurus gets closer and closer to the corpse. Once it's found a corpse, Ceratosaurus can make use of a number of new abilities that will activate when near the body.
I'm fucking horrified.
Rapid Strikes allows the Ceratosaurus to have a higher damage output.
Yeah. Ceratosaurus is an apex now. Wow. That's only one option, and it already provides so much for Cerato. Like, I want to know how much damage that does. Both not near a corpse and near a corpse. Because if near a corpse, and it does more damage than Cerato's base, which is 40... Holy shit, Cerato's broken right now.
Output when near corpses compared to its standard bite attack, and the new carrion feeder ability reduces the damage of nearby.
So, so we can both take 25% less damage on incoming damage whenever you're in combat, or however that ability works. And then add another 5% onto that, so you're taking 30% less damage. Yeah, no, that doesn't work. That's how you make an overpowered creature.
Enemies that...
Like, Ceratosaurus was fine even before Bone Break changed. It could punch up very easily. Like, it had the kit to do it. This feels like what they did with Allosaurus back when they tried to make it more viable with Hatchet Bite in the bleed ability. They gave it ideas that on paper are great, yet because of, like, circumstances, changed fucking nothing.
That are near the body by 5%, stacking up to 5 times. Torment.
50% damage reduction. God.
Is the damage of nearby enemies that are near the body by 5%, stacking up to 5 times. Torment.
What is this jump? What's this goofy ass jump?
The damage of nearby enemies that are near the body by 5%, stacking up to 5 times. Torment reduces the armor of dinosaurs around a corpse, and Lunge is an attack that lets Cerato...
So people aren't understanding, in my opinion, why these attacks... I feel like people watching this video won't understand why I'm having an issue with these abilities. Imagine being in a group. You can have all these abilities. You can reduce their armor and then reduce the amount of damage they can deal. You don't even have... Spelling mistake here. You don't even have to be a Cerato. It doesn't feel like it. It's just like you're reducing the enemy's attack. So this is... So Cerato's now something you want in a group. Awesome.
Jump forward suddenly to deal a burst of damage, and then jump backwards to dodge any incoming attacks.
That's not how that works. Okay, let's throw the hypothetical. You jump into my tail whip. My tail's still gonna hit you.
Further warning off any creatures that attempt to...
Why would you... Path of Titans players, man, they're all bad.
to move it away from its corpse. We hope you enjoyed this glimpse into Ceratosaurus' new playstyles and abilities, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you as always for your support as we continue to bring new content to Path of...
Shut the fuck up, Matt.